We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiences with extraterrestrials.
As a species, we don't know what the program is. We're starting to learn, but who monitors this stuff? Who watches over? And is there anybody that does? Or do they have free will to do whatever they want to? Or who knows? I mean, for all we know, they could have had permission to do all this from somebody. I don't know, but it's for the human, for the person. It's uncomfortable, you know.
It's time for disclosure. It's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformations.
Yep. Many of my experiences have been non-physical, physical as well, but several non-physical. And I think that with progressive experiences and progressively less fear from me, you're never comfortable, but that I do think that it's enabled a stronger connection.
We're the voices of change and profound evolution.
Yeah, we can guess, but how do we know for sure?
It would all be speculation.
Could, it could be the DNA, it could be, certain families are starseeds. I mean, we really don't know, but it is interesting that it does tend to be hereditary, so to speak.
What we do know is that has been reported time and time again. That has been.
We're the bridge between two different worlds.
He's a jailer. That doesn't sound.
Yeah.
And
right.
And she's monitored, which she's aware of, and she's saying, who knows how long this has been going on, but she feels that much from him, and she says he's trying to make pretend he's my friend, but he's not.
Yeah.
Profound integration is coming. Just who are extraterrestrials?
Checking on you for.
He wants me to think that he's, like a friend, but he's not.
What is he then to you?
Like a jailer.
What do you mean by that he's a jailer?
I have to do what he wants, whenever he wants, and he always knows where I am.
What kind of things does he want you to do?
He takes pieces of skin and stuff. Took, when I was a teenager, I think they were the reason I kept having pain. The doctor said he thought I was having cysts on my ovaries, but I think it was them. I think they did something.
What did they do?
Taking eggs.
Let's find out with the voices of contact.
We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth because truth brings powerful transformation. And we are the voices of change. We're about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I am a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show with our panel tonight. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful. It's life-changing, and I thank you for being here with me. It means more than you realize, to me, as well as the listeners. We have Michael Carter, and he is a lifetime UFO contactee, author of Alien Scriptures, Extraterrestrials, and the Holy Bible, and he's also a regular consultant on the Histories Channel Ancient Aliens series, as well as being featured in several UFO documentaries. Next, we have Bill Konkoleski, and he has been the state director of the Michigan MUFON chapter since 2004. Besides writing 2 books on his own personal contact experiences, he's contributed to numerous other UFO-related books, as well as television productions. Last but not least, we have Deb and R.J. DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. They're also the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September, and owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakenings Vodcast on YouTube, and of the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Now, the show is all about transmutating the light from the dark to replace fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across some amazing cases with some amazing clients, and I've worked with them to help them have a better understanding of the contact that they've had, whether they were taken, whether it was just regular contact, or if it was just a dream. I'm fortunate enough that my clients have agreed to allow me to use the regressions on the voices of contact. Here, the panel will break down the experiences and provide profound feedback. So not only do all of the listeners get to connect and learn, the person that I regressed walks away immersed in their experience with a new perspective on their experience. So literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here. How are you?
Good
Hello.
evening. Good evening.
We're happy to be here.
So to give you a little bit of background on tonight's episode, this is a female, and she came to me to be regressed. She had an experience, I would say probably 30, 35 years ago, and she really wanted to explore a time that she was coming home from work, and she felt like she had been chased by a UFO. And it was funny because I took her through like the original regression, and she went straight through like, I was driving, I saw lights, I came to a stoplight, and then I got home. I'm like, okay, there has to be something more to all of this, otherwise you wouldn't even come, right? So I took her back a little bit to before she reached the stoplight. And so in this first clip, she talks about the balls of light that were actually flying around her car and what she was seeing before she reached the stoplight. So go ahead, give me 1 second and I will go ahead and play that one, okay?
Okay.
It's a ball. It's a big ball.
The light is?
The machine that the light's coming out of is a big ball. It's a metal ball.
What else do you notice about the machine?
Doesn't seem big enough for anybody to be inside of. It's like maybe 6 feet across.
Do you see anything on the metal ball?
I think there's a line of rivets or a seam or something.
All right. I'd like to slow this down a little bit. Almost like freeze framing the scene. You're not moving and the machine's not moving. Look around and tell me what you see.
There's light in the car. It feels like there's it feels like I'm floating in the car.
What's happening while you're floating in the car?
I'm looking at the floor on the passenger side, and it's lit up. I don't know.
What's it lit up from?
The light moved. It's over there looking in the window.
So I have a question. Do you guys know, have you ever heard of abductions where they take the whole car?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Kentucky one. The three women, Mona Stafford, and maybe the other couple of women whose name elude me. Um, and there was another one actually that I'm aware of too. Well, I guess in the Stafford one, they pulled the car off to the side of the road. They didn't actually take the car up.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get at is here when she said she felt floating inside the car, it made me think that maybe the whole car was being taken. I mean, she could have just floated up from the seat. That's possible too. But I just wondered if perhaps they're taking the whole car.
Or was it the moment before she was taken from the car?
Yeah.
Clearly, she was confused, and I can see, where that would be very confusing for her. She had no memory of it, and it makes me think that's why they took her memory or erased her memory. Is it was very confusing for her.
Didn't she say something like it was a small? I kept thinking of orbs or something because she said it was only about 6 feet wide or something like that. So she was saying it was probably unoccupied because of the size. Correct? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah. And then she saw it on the other side of the car too. They moved to the other side of the car. Yeah.
Right. But the light was coming from that. And was that coming from something else? We need the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so in the next clip, she talks more on the balls of light. And then she starts talking about the craft that she originally had seen, that she had memory of. She talks about the craft and exactly how the balls of light are coming from the craft. And then the little twist to it is she hears a radio buzzing from her car. So give me 1 second.
Playing Stairway to Heaven.
What's it lit up from?
The light moved. It's over there looking in the window.
Look past the light. Can you see anything past the light?
I think there's a disc out there. But the light's not hooked to it.
Why isn't the light hooked to it?
I think there's more than one. That's why I thought the light was moving in the field, but there was more than one of those balls.
Where do they come from?
They I guess they came from the craft. They go with the craft.
What's making the balls of light move?
First thing that came to my head was electricity.
Would you like to take a closer look at the craft?
Okay.
And just know you're observing so that you can describe to me what you're seeing. You're not experiencing it. You can go ahead and move a little bit closer to the craft and tell me what you see.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was. And it has a lit up hole on the bottom. I think the lights go in there.
That's where the balls of light go?
Uh-huh.
What else do you notice?
It's really low, and it's not making any sound. And it's gray, but it's not shiny. I'm not sure what shape it is.
What else do you notice?
The radio is buzzing.
What radio?
The radio in the car.
What's making it buzz?
Probably the lights.
Do you hear anything around you other than that?
I think there's a beep. It's not very loud.
Where's the beep coming from?
I think it's coming from the big ship. I think they just said my name on the radio.
Some of our research is, they talk about these plasma UFOs. They're made of plasma. So that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Well, the picture gets a little clearer. Now the ship looks a little bigger than she thought. It's kind of a gunmetal. It's not really shiny. Obviously, it could be a probe or like a scout craft
Yeah.
where these little orbs come out and they probe and they go
Yeah.
back with information. So
Yeah.
now it's not as, it's starting to piece together a bit. And of course, you hear stories about, some cars stop. So it's obviously the radioactive stuff and the electricity and, with the cars and stuff. So now it seems to be a little more, just a little more clarity on what, and now the ship is bigger than what she thought. So you hear that a lot too sometimes. Um, it's getting interesting.
Yeah, when she said the size, I suspected that there was something else, something bigger there. So now, was there a big ship and then a small metal, whatever that is, the ball that she saw?
Like you said, Michael, probes.
It could be a scout craft. I mean, they're coming. She said they're coming out of the probe. I mean, they're coming out of the ship, so they can.
Right.
It's the easier way to get data. All speculation, obviously, but at least it's clear as the story goes on. And she's car is malfunctioning. The radio is not working.
There's a couple details I'm curious about. One is she in a semi-isolated area, or would this be an area that it would be really surprising, suburban, urban area? Roughly how old is she, and the rough time period that this happened with regards to what type of car it must have been?
Yeah, because this is like 30 years ago. She's remembering, right? So it's quite
At least.
Wow.
Because this is when she was younger and she was driving home from work. So it was out in the country.
Yeah.
Because in the original experience that she went through before I took her back, she talked about getting through the stoplight and going through a small town that was so late at night that it was literally deserted because it was such a small town. So she was kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely she was in her young 20s.
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about 1990s?
Perhaps, yeah. All right. So the third clip, she kind of goes into who is actually speaking her name on the radio. So give me 1 second for that one. Who said your name on the radio?
I don't know.
Ask who said your name.
I think it's the same guy from when I was a kid, and for some reason I call him Bob.
So who's Bob?
He's just one of those little guys.
He's talking to you over the radio?
He just said my name.
Ask him what he wants.
He says he's just checking on me, but I don't believe him.
So now more is coming out. She's remembering earlier experiences with Bob. And, it's interesting because we had this a few weeks or so ago where I didn't believe him. Or I don't believe, what they're telling me. So that tells me that, even when we are under their spell, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it, sometimes we're not always buying it, what they're trying to make us believe.
You know what's kind of funny though? Usually these star people have these names that it's like all consonants or all vowels. Isn't it? What's your name? My name's Bob.
Right. Yeah. Well, if she had that experience when she was really little,
it's so funny.
Listen to
It's not Oopa Punch, it's Bob. Just call me Bob.
Just call me Bob. Yeah.
Just a little levity. I'm just.
Hmm.
The only thing I can think of is, they use a name like that, a very common Earth name, to keep it simple for somebody who is very young. We don't know how old she might have been when she experienced Bob for the first time.
I got the impression that she nicknamed him Bob, but
Yeah.
maybe I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bill. I think she did say it. I don't know. I call him Bob. Okay.
Coming through on WUAP radio.
Dang.
It does sound like she has had several experiences with this being. And this isn't the first one. Because as you go further in, she does start to express other times that she had experiences with him. So the clip 4 is what the being actually wants, the one that's coming through on the radio to her. So we talk more about what the being wants from her. So give me
Do we
one
know
second
what
for that.
do we know what they look like, Mary? Or
I really didn't get a description. She just says the little beings, and I think in the next episode, we'll have her again as another regression where she actually describes the beings.
okay.
What is he checking on you for?
He wants me to think that he's, like a friend, but he's not.
What is he then to you?
Like a jailer.
What do you mean by that he's a jailer?
I have to do what he wants. Whenever he wants. And he always knows where I am.
What kind of things does he want you to do?
He takes pieces of skin and stuff. He took, when I was a teenager, I think they were the reason I kept having pain. The doctor said he thought I was having cysts on my ovaries, but I think it was them. I think they did something.
What did they do?
Taking eggs.
Well, the plot thickens, huh? Twist. There's a twist in the story there.
Yeah. I didn't make out what that last thing she said. Taking
eggs.
Taking eggs.
Eggs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She mentioned something about her ovaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she thinks that that's why the being is actually there, is to come take more eggs.
Yes.
Okay. So, Mary, before this regression, did she remember any of the other experiences, or did they all come out in this regression?
She's had several experiences, but she doesn't remember everything. So sort of like this one that she was exploring, literally all she remembered was driving home from work and seeing a UFO and feeling like she was being chased by lights. But that's all she remembered. That was it.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
That's probably good for her.
Right.
Who knows what happened?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure sometimes it's not a good thing to remember.
This doesn't sound good.
She seems to put a lot on this individual, this Bob, for what's happening to her, rather than a they. She's blaming it on him.
Well, let's face it. If a extraterrestrial, a gray, came up to you and said his name was Bob, that in itself seems a little odd, right? But of course, when she was younger, that's something she could understand, and a name like that. But it's, I'm sure their name wasn't Bob. It could have been, but I don't think so. But
yeah, and I
believe, she's intuiting. He's a jailer. That doesn't sound.
Yeah,
and
right.
And she's monitored, which she's aware of, and she's saying, who knows how long this has been going on, but she feels that much from him, and she says he's trying to make pretend he's my friend, but he's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see how it plays out.
And I think she said too that he was taking skin from her. Yeah.
Samples. Yep.
So she's, like a little guinea pig, or, their little, I don't know.
But again,
It's uncomfortable.
we don't, as a species, we don't know what the program is. We're starting to learn, but who monitors this stuff? Who watches over? And is there anybody that does? Or do they have free will to do whatever they want to? Or who knows? I mean, for all we know, they could have had permission to do all this from somebody. I don't know, but it's for the human, for the person. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's definitely a violation.
But is it? We don't know. We don't know the cosmic laws out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Makes my heart hurt for her, of course.
Well, the good thing for her now is she's had so many different experiences, and now she's ready to explore. Like she said, I'm just over it. I'm over being afraid. I'm over wondering what happened. And she goes, I am going to find out what actually happened and get the truth. Because it's not just her that's had experiences, her family has as well, generations wise. Why has her family through generations gone through this?
Well, there is data to support. John Mack used to talk about this, among others, that usually it does comes in families and in generations.
Mm-hmm.
Like a legacy of these kind of visits. So,
why do you think that is?
I have no idea.
Yeah, we can guess, but how do we know for sure?
It would all be speculation.
Mm-hmm. It could be the DNA. It could be, certain families are star seeds. I mean, we really don't know, but it is interesting that it does tend to be hereditary, so to speak.
What we do know is that has been reported time and time again. That has been family and generation. And
the nice thing that I'm seeing now, Mary, and it's partly what we're doing right here and now, is we're talking about it publicly. And, I know many families, they didn't talk about it for years and years. There are still so many people that will not talk about it. We had a sibling at one of our events who stood up, and this man was in his 70s, and he and his brother had the same experience, but never spoke of it.
Oh.
So, we want people to be able to talk about it and to heal.
I wonder to some degree if it's like a sort of an innate degree of some sort of psychic ability that allows a easier plug-in with the person. And that could be a generational thing too, rather than just monitoring a family over generations, seeing what, how, following a line of DNA. Perhaps there's something specifically about that line of DNA that makes certain people more attractive to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. And we hear that so often, even in my own family. I'm a medium. I was born into it, and it goes way back in my family. So, yeah, it's
a good point.
Makes sense.
Yep.
That higher vibration of being able to connect like that.
Mm-hmm.
That does make sense.
Right.
Okay, so for our last clip, we actually get into why the being is there and what he wants to take, and why the beings are so angry because they say she messed up. All right, give me 1 second here. So why is he there now?
He probably wants to take something.
What does he want to take?
I was married for only 6 months, and I think they had some kind of plan, and it messed it up because I didn't stay married
What was the plan?
for me to be pregnant.
So are they making contact with you now?
I don't know. It seems like they're just like chewing me out.
What are they chewing you out about?
I didn't do what they wanted me to do, I guess. I didn't stay married
Why did they want you to stay married?
because it would look weird if I got pregnant otherwise.
Yeah, this is classic too. I mean, how many cases have we heard that women are pregnant, don't know how they got pregnant. 4 months later, the baby's gone. I mean, this has been reported all over the place. And
Right, but she's not pregnant.
yeah, she's not pregnant, but she was saying that they were upset because she was going to be pregnant, and if she was married, it would make more sense,
Then she wouldn't suspect anything.
suspect anything. So, but yeah, this is a lot of cases. You've seen them on shows that women are reporting this all the time.
I don't think they really understand how people interact at a certain level. They certainly play matchmaker, but I think after they sort of pair people together, they don't always get that human side of it that the people might have a difficulty. And so I think it's almost rude on their part to say, okay, we put these two together, we're all set. Wait a second, they're having problems? What the heck? I just think that they don't understand the subtleties of it. And so for them to be upset, well, I don't know. If they're manipulating people and then they're upset at the person that they didn't the manipulation didn't go their way, yeah, that's just bad manners.
Right. Well, it would be interesting to do a survey and find out how many experiencers have been through divorce or multiple relationships. And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, many that I know fit that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
that's interesting.
Michael, you seem to have a degree of knowledge about Ray Hernandez's material. Do you know if this is anything that he asks in his multiple surveys?
No, he doesn't ask that.
Okay.
Which is a great question to ask. I forget what book I was reading. This was like in the 90s. But there's I don't know the data, but there's a very, very high degree of couples who, when one person is an experiencer, very high rate of separation and divorce.
I know Eve
Just
Lorngen put out a
pressure.
book called Love Bite or Love Bites, and there's other books similar to that that talk about this phenomena.
Yeah. This book was by a therapist, and I forget her name, but she was talking about the very high rate of divorce and separation with people when one person is having the experiences and growing, and they're growing apart or they're growing in different ways. The other person just doesn't understand it.
Right.
They're not having the experience, and it just puts
Yeah.
not all, but it puts a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you're thinking it might not be Eve Lorngen's book? Love Bite?
It's a book called Healing Shattered Reality, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the woman is a therapist or social worker. MSW, yeah. And I know this is kind of low-hanging fruit, but I kind of, I like the fact that this woman has agency. She decided, I'm not going to stay in a not great relationship, as opposed to them manipulating her to the point where she stays, however they do that. And it reminded me a little bit of some of the, well, just with Mary, Miriam, Jesus's mother, and John the Baptist, when Gabriel comes and tells Joseph, look, you gotta get with the program. She's pregnant. Deal with it. There's a larger story here that we needed to play out. So marry her. You know what I mean? And again, we don't know, but he doesn't seem to be worried about maybe they're being guided, but they come in the Bible and you do this, you do that. Abraham's wife, you're going to get pregnant. What? Yeah, you're going to get pregnant. And this is going to be your son. And you're going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me. But and this woman says, no, I'm not, whether it's conscious or not, I'm not staying in this marriage.
And good for her.
Once I'm out.
Right. Yeah. I actually had an experience where I married somebody knowing I didn't want to, and feeling, I don't know why I'm doing this. I had no idea why I was doing it. So,
But we're still married.
just kidding. No, it wasn't this one.
Well, it's like Spielberg's Taken. I don't know if you remember back that far. Remember that couple gets together and they have the child, and it's kind of like, I saw you on a ship. Oh, yeah, I saw you. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I mean, it's sweet in the movies, but they were just kind of manipulated, and they came together, and they had their problems, and they had the child. And,
Yeah. So good for her for being aware. So let me ask you this, Mary. Is she a medium or psychic? Does she have abilities?
I believe she does. That was one of the first things that interested her when she walked into my office was, she goes, you're a medium. And so there was an instant connection there with the talking and being able to go back and forth, because she does have those abilities. She doesn't use them, but she definitely, you can tell that she's more openly spiritually minded.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that could be something in her family.
And if she wasn't before, she certainly seems
to be now,
headed that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever that means, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a correlation between being taken and having it raise your vibration and opening up your spiritual gifts?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
1000%.
It's kind of like people that have that pass away and come back to life,
Yeah, I will caveat is, but you have to be open to it. There are many people who have these experiences that they don't let that in.
Right.
For whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or either they repress it. But it's certainly, and that's certainly, Bill, what Ray's talking about in his books and other people talking about. Well, I mentioned it in my book, obviously, about the spiritual transformation that can occur. But it is about you having to be open to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
So one more question, because this popped in my mind. Do you think that the spiritual awareness is amplified so that ET can connect with us more consciously than actually have to take us?
I would say, at least in my case, I would say it was amplified, but they can take you whether you want to or not. You know what I mean? I don't know if that would be a big deal. I mean, I sometimes think that because of my fear level, the first few years when it was happening, I started to have out of body experiences, and in my mind, but that's my mind. I know I'm giving them a hard time, and it's easier for them. They can just take me. I can stay in my bed, but the thing is, they can take you whatever they want. I mean, I don't know if it's even an issue what makes it easier for them. I don't know, but I would say your spiritual growth can definitely be accelerated.
Yep. Many of my experiences had been non-physical, physical as well, but several non-physical. And I think that with progressive experiences and progressively less fear from me, you're never comfortable, but
Mm-hmm.
that I do think that it's enabled a stronger connection. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. And I can't see, somebody who knowingly has these type of experiences, even if you've had them all your life and then suddenly realize that's what's been going on, how can you not be more open? Like Michael said, we do have the right to shut that down and not, but I think overall, most people would become more evolved, more spiritual, more open, and that absolutely would make it easier for them to connect with your consciousness
Yeah, because the
rather
fear
than
factor,
your
yeah,
mind.
the fear factor, it lowers your vibration.
Right.
Um, but I think if they really need to get to you, fear or not, they do it.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I think what you do with it afterwards
Hmm.
is I remember conversations with Bud when he was alive, and even going to his group, having the same experience. Well, not really the same, but because of the trauma of most of the people in his group, they did not want to hear. They would have laughed us out of the room. Sometimes they did,
Yeah.
but no, they because look what they went through.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was no
absolutely.
way they were going to. And Bud evolved like we all do, but at the beginning he wasn't like David Jacobs, but he saw it was nothing really good. It was a violation. He wouldn't entertain. Maybe in a past life you agreed to it. Maybe there's a history. He would no. He would have none of that.
Hmm.
This is a violation. Look at what's happening, and there's just no way you can pour pink paint over this and make this some
Hmm.
spiritual experience. But as time went on, he softened a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say that. Um, I mean, I think RJ knows for sure that I still get a little angry about it, about
Hmm.
the violation.
Hmm.
Um, I don't, I love the contact now, but I really want them to ask first.
Well, in your case, you were gone an hour and 9 minutes, so yeah, you were really upset. And
Yeah, it's a violation.
yeah,
Take
and
me and do what you want without any permission, without my knowledge or permission. I want to say, sit down and have coffee with me and let's talk
Not
about
unless not
this.
not unless you gave permission in between lives or something like that.
Right,
yeah,
right. But I want to know about it now. So I get that,
Yeah,
that,
yeah. I'm with you. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And again, RJ said, maybe for them it's like take them and bag them. This is what we're to do. We don't have time for the niceties, and so and because we're looking at it from our sensibilities, and
right.
maybe for them it's just like, well, look, we don't have time
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
crumpets and tea. This is what we need to do.
right.
Is
Yeah,
it really giving permission though when we enter the physical and we're all about the ego and the years go on and then this happens and then they're like, well, you agreed to it. I'm like, well, not this me. This me didn't agree to it.
right.
Well, see, but that's the thing. We're looking at it from this dense kind of 3D reality. Because one could argue, well, this is not the real you, Bill. This is the you that you get. And I'm not trying to be obtuse, but I'm saying all those are possibilities. You can say, yeah, I come from love and I'm going to go back to love, but it's hard to feel that's intellectual, but you don't remember that. You just remember
Yeah,
what you hear in this body and what have you. Most people, not unless you're very high in the Tibetan Buddhist, where they're talking about past lives all the time and what they remember, and this is reincarnation of this one and that one. And I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just saying, but those are the possibilities. And one thing about this phenomenon is that it raises more questions than answers. And it's very difficult for the human mind to not deal with certainties.
Now, think of this. I heard a gentleman who had some experience with Greys through his government, foreign government, and talked to him. And he was told that maybe we made the agreement in the future. And so, because some of the Greys can time travel. Again,
these are all possibilities.
Yeah, possibly.
But the real life thing is, if we told this woman that, it would almost be, you're dealing with, okay, this woman is, you're not going to tell her, well, you agree to this, or there's a possibility. She's probably not even ready to hear that.
Well, I just want to say, we're thinking, I never agreed to that. We're thinking past. We're not even, it could be something we said in the future. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So, but I mean, it does sound, the more stories we hear, the more of them seem to be, they may start out kind of funky, but a lot of them seem to have a certain pattern. I mean, to my point of view.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight's show. A big thank you to you guys. A big thanks to the audience, and a big thanks to the woman who allowed me to regress her and share it with all of you. Yeah. So you guys have a great night.
You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you.
We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiences with extraterrestrials.
As a species, we don't know what the program is. We're starting to learn, but who monitors this stuff? Who watches over? And is there anybody that does? Do they have free will to do whatever they want to, or who knows? I mean, for all we know, they could have had permission to do all this from somebody. I don't know, but it's for the human, for the person. It's uncomfortable.
It's time for disclosure. It's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformations.
Yep. Many of my experiences have been non-physical, physical as well, but several non-physical. And I think that with progressive experiences and progressively less fear from me, you're never comfortable, but that I do think that it's enabled a stronger connection.
We're the voices of change and profound evolution.
Yeah, we can guess, but how do we know for sure?
It would all be speculation.
It could be the DNA, it could be, certain families are star seeds. I mean, we really don't know, but it is interesting that it does tend to be hereditary, so to speak.
What we do know is that has been reported time and time again. That has been.
We're the bridge between two different worlds.
He's a jailer. That doesn't sound.
Yeah.
And and she's monitored, which she's aware of, and she's saying, who knows how long this has been going on, but she feels that much from him, and she says he's trying to pretend he's my friend, but he's not.
Yeah.
Profound integration is coming. Just who are extraterrestrials?
Checking on you for.
He wants me to think that he's, like a friend, but he's not.
What is he then to you?
Like a jailer.
What do you mean by that he's a jailer?
I have to do what he wants. Whenever he wants. And he always knows where I am.
What kind of things does he want you to do?
He takes pieces of skin and stuff. Took, when I was a teenager, I think they were the reason I kept having pain. The doctor said he thought I was having cysts on my ovaries, but I think it was them. I think they did something.
What did they do?
Taking eggs.
Let's find out with the Voices of Contact.